Tune in to today's episode. A quack practice or the real deal? You'll find out on MorrisMediaLive.com from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Call us at 323-293-3375. Peace and blessings. All right, and welcome to episode 7 of the Let's Be Whole show. We're so excited to be here today. Woohoo!
Right.
I am Cleopatra J, aka Nina Womack, and we have
Queen G, a.k.a. Shantae Gibson. Or the other way. Is it the other way?
Flip it.
Right.
and we have
Monica Marsh, a.k.a. Sun, Say Unity Now.
yes, and we have some wonderful, wonderful guests on the show. We have Bobby.
Bobby, a.k.a. Bobby. Just Bob.
Just
Bob.
Just Bob, who gives out free Starbucks cards. you
Yeah.
guys. And also we have the wonderful
Seven
Dar, multicultural
Right.
poet.
right.
So today's topic is energy healing. We are going to explore what that means and if it works and if it doesn't. And we invite you guys to call in and give some input about your experiences. Since I started the Let's Be Whole show, which is a holistic based show, I get to experience a lot of these holistic healing techniques that I personally believe that it's worked for me in the past,
And
I
that's all
want
that counts.
exactly.
It works.
Exactly.
That's good.
Works, right?
That's right. It's
Right.
true.
Exactly.
So, so before we get into the energy healing, I just wanted to talk about some current events that are going on. This weekend, we had a very special moment, an event we went to, the Let's Be Whole team. And Sean, you want to elaborate on that?
Yes. We did a walk out in Watts. It was a Taste of Soul event. They had
Taste
a lot
of
of
Watts.
Taste
Yeah,
of Watts.
Taste
I'm
of
sorry.
Watts.
I keep But basically, the community came together in Watts for peace. And we marched the streets of Watts, and we came together, different races, different people. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. And when you're on the street marching, you could feel the energy of like peace and people really fighting and striving to be better and do better. You can feel that out there. You know what I mean? We were all together, and it was like we did this peace chant, and I was going in. And see, I'm a big girl, so the fact that I was walking and wasn't getting tired, you understand? It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, this was the 13th annual Stop the Violence March.
Awesome.
This woman, Lydia, founded it. Her nephew and son were murdered in Watts due to gang violence. And so 13 years ago, she decided to take an initiative to stop the violence. And so now it's grown into a very big event with city support and so forth. And so one thing that we discovered in Watts by going down there and marching is there's a restaurant that was part sponsor of this event. They're called Locol, L-O-C-O-L, and it was founded by this pretty popular, pretty famous Korean chef who he has Koji, those trucks,
Koji
and
trucks?
the Koji
Yeah.
trucks, numerous ones. He's got restaurants all over the place. And so he decided to start a fast food, health conscious restaurant in the heart of Watts.
Fantastic.
And he's empowering, he's giving people jobs there. The dishwasher alone gets his starting pay is $29,000 a year. That's not too bad. Just to wash
Just to wash
dishes.
dishes,
You're
yeah.
gonna
I know
need
you're
the
gonna need.
Well, it's amazing because they say that one person can't make a difference or one small group. when in fact it's the only things that ever have.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So we interviewed him on camera, and we'll be posting it on the Let's Behold website.
Nice.
But it was just amazing, and I had the food. I had a veggie burger, and they don't do any sodas there. It's all fresh squeezed juice, and so yeah.
That ice cream was amazing.
Yeah, healthy ice
Yeah.
cream, everything they
Hungry.
make. I know. So yeah, so that was amazing. And then also this week, we've been filming on location for the video portion of this show, and we stopped in this venue called Herbs of Mexico. It's a herbal store in East LA. And so we had a wonderful experience discovering all the herbs there and what was native to Mexico
I
for
believe
healing
they
and
changed the name to Hierbas de Mexico.
Yerbas.
Hierbas.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been there for 50 years, but I picked up
Is he getting
this.
fancy again?
He is. I picked up this bark that you can use as a tea, and it has healing powers. Don't ask me to pronounce it, but do you know? Can you pronounce
Give it to
that?
7.
I know. Give it to 7.
Tepechuhuite.
See,
It's a Nahuatl word.
see, he did that.
I would have spit all over the place.
Tepachuite.
Can you come back
Bark.
and pronounce all of our words?
All these herbs as we get more into herbs.
Wait, how do you say it again, Nina?
Tepachuite. You gotta have that little
With a
tepachuite.
little practice, you gonna be good.
Tepachuite.
I was just testing you.
And then also at the event at the march, who knew? But it was a natural healer there. Her name is Christy Mendoza. She has a holistic healing place in Torrance, and so she was down there representing, and she gave me something I've never heard of called ear seeding. So it's acupuncture needles in your ear, and you have to keep it there for 3 to 5 days. So
I was going to say that would
Oh, it's still in there?
Yeah,
ear
it's still in
seeding.
there.
Oh, that would explain the
okay.
tiny little plant coming out of your ear. I
It
thought
looks, Nina.
I thought it was an earring.
It looks a
You're
little
sprouting
swollen.
wisdom.
God, don't scare me.
Those seeds are getting infected.
Yeah,
Your
no,
ears are
that's
kind
awesome.
of red, but
That's great
the
that you had that done.
That's the earphones. Yeah, and then she said when you get stressed out, you're supposed to
Have
like
you seen it's
rub
been-
on these.
Affected.
Yeah, and you just
You're
look so
supposed to-
silly. You snap out of it.
okay.
I feel more relaxed. Okay, like you said, whatever works. So if I
Right.
feel like these needles in my ear, it's keeping me
But
calmer.
you know what? You've seemed relaxed since I've known you.
all of what, 5 minutes?
He's gonna bust you out right now. Like I don't know if those things that are in your ears quite worked.
Yeah.
Like,
But way to go. Nice job.
right?
But it's true that the foot and the ear, which is like a fetus,
Okay.
has the whole body corresponding to it. So you could stimulate the ear, and it's like a full body workout.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's part of energy healing. So yeah, the ear seeding. Ear seeds are the seeds of the Vaccaria plant.
Give it to 7.
Okay, 7.
Hilarious. Okay, so this plant is used as an internal herb in Chinese medicine. The seeds are attached with adhesive tape and stimulates points in the ear. So it says don't go past 5 days or it will make a hole in your ear. That's what it says.
Nina, I don't know if you read that pamphlet.
Wait, I'm just now seeing this for the first time. The hell?
Hilarious. No, but I'm not keeping it past the 5 days.
Oh, you can always put an earring in it.
No, dude, we want to see.
Oh, hey, I never got my ear pierced up there. So.
Hey, now's the time.
Keep it for 10 days. We want to see. This will be
If
our
her
little
earlobes
experiment.
are blue next week,
I'm gonna have those big, the big, huge holes like the African people. I'm gonna have a big ear.
Hey, you all. I'm looking good. Boy, do I feel relaxed.
Funny. Okay, we're having way too much fun. No, but back to energy healing.
Of
which
course,
this
well,
is
laughter.
part. Yeah, this
Yeah,
laughter
there you go.
is part of energy
Yes.
healing.
Oh, yeah, it raises
Yes.
my energy for sure.
Exactly. So we want to start. So yeah, we've been going through these acupuncture treatments and all these different treatments, and I just look forward to more to talk about shamanic healing, Reiki healing. So today, our co-host Monica, aka Sun, is a Reiki master. She's a Reiki practitioner, and then also Bobby is an intuitive, and a medium, and he's a self-empowerment coach. And so we'll hear from him about self-empowerment and how to tap into our intuition. I really need to know how to tap into my intuition.
Do you have first? You have to put these things on your ears, and then
Oh gosh. And then Seven is a shamanic healer as well as a poet, a spoken word healer. And I also wrote a poem a few days ago, so I want to try it out.
right.
So anyway, let's start with Reiki healing. Can you tell us about that, Son?
Sure. Well, actually, I realized that Bobby's had Reiki attunements, and Seven Dars also been attuned to Reiki. So,
Okay.
so chime in, boys, anytime. But the way I
so how it started for me.
okay, no, chime in. You back off.
Yeah, don't give him that.
Oh no,
permission.
don't give him the end. Don't give him
I
the
was
end.
chiming in.
Funny.
Yeah. Well, the way I've been attuned to Reiki, I've done pranic healing, I've done theta healing, SRT, qigong, but what it all comes down to for me, it's just opening up to source, above and below, tapping into the earth, and feeling the energy. But I feel that I'm doing, I'm not healing anyone. I'm just sharing energy with you. So your cells and your body and your energy will remember its magnificence and its health. So it's just it's a remembrance. We all have it, and we all can do it. And it's like when you're little and you fall down, you scrape your knee, and your mom just kind of strokes your head or something. It just soothes you. And it just, even when you're sitting with a cat, it's sharing the energy, and it's and being aware of your energy and also finding out where stuck energy is in the body. Like you can feel it. And also, if you're making decisions, you can, that decision everything's in your inside. Everything's an inside job. So you just have to tune into yourself. But I like to use some bells and whistles because everything is energy. So I like to use crystals. You don't have to use anything because we have it all.
Okay.
It's all around us. And I think we've had other guests on that, we talk, it's just tapping into the oneness of everyone, the oneness of all the earthlings, of everything here on the planet and in the cosmos. When Askew was here, it's like, oh, he's getting galactic. I like that.
Can I say this, Son? I remember one day, it was probably a couple of weeks ago, I came in really depressed about some things personally that were going on, and she pulled me out in the hallway, pulled me aside, and she blessed me with like peace with her hands or something. Like, I don't know much about this stuff, y'all. I gotta say that. But whatever she did, it felt like I can feel the energy from her hands into my shoulders or something, and it kind of got me straight. Like, whatever that was, it got me straight. I don't know if that's the Reiki healing.
Yeah,
or...
I think it goes by many names, but I remember seeing my father and his brothers when I was very young, and they would call in the Holy Spirit, and they called it laying of hands.
Right.
And so I think it's just, it goes by many names, but it is the Holy Spirit, it is the cosmos, it is Mother Nature, it is the energy all around us.
Well, Son, you remind me of something when you say grounding, because the local Native American tribe from this area is the Tongva. And if a person gets frightened, scared, we call that an asusto. That means that they're really shook with that. And the cure for it is to dig a hole and place them in there and place dirt for a literal grounding.
Love it.
Now think about it. Reiki is solar energy. Rei is the sun. The grounding then balances that because, feet on the ground, head in the sky, or head in the clouds. That's the real balance to be. So it's beautiful. We take that sun energy, but really ground it on this earth. Else
That's
we're
what
just
we are.
floating
We're
around.
sunbeams. We're we're stardust.
Absolutely.
We're
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we
walking stars.
What am I? What am I?
We don't have time
Oh,
to
goodness.
go into that. Maybe show number 8.
That bad, huh? That bad.
Just a lot of explaining.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, you can research it. The element of the human body is very identical to the element of the universe, the stardust. So that's where the theory we come from, the stars comes from, because we have the same elemental chemical makeup as the stars, as
Star
the universe.
seeds.
Star
seeds.
seeds. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
hillbillies
yes,
in space, flying through the air.
Yeah, so does anybody have a background on Reiki? I mean, I would think that it first started as an Eastern or Oriental medicine practice.
It's a Japanese Master Yusui. Actually, he was in the excuse me. He was in the Japanese army, and he started healing people just with energy, the soldiers. So he had a lot of practice, and so he started, small groups, and then it was always passed down from master to student. But I think it's gotten much more attention, and people are. It's much more accessible than it used to be, even 20 years ago. You had to pay a lot of money to be able to be a part of this exclusive healing group, and so now I think the doors are being blown off of a lot of things, and we're able to, heal each other, heal ourselves.
And it's very similar, I'm sure, in various religions or spiritual beliefs, but I know along the lines of Christianity, like you said, it's the laying on of hands. And I know those pastors, on the TV, they say put your hands on the TV and receive a healing. So, it's similar.
That's just electricity, though. No, but it is all energy. So you never know.
So so the idea is you put your hands out and you focus on.
Well, what I do is I talk to the person first and find out, why are you here? Why have you come to me? And I'll get a little bit of their the story that what's bothering them, and then I just allow Source to work through me. And there is a certain positions that you lay hands on. Excuse me, but I just I don't do that anymore. I just let my intuition take me. If it's put your hands on her knees, and then later I find out, I've got really bad knees. It's like, okay.
That day for me, son, it was my shoulders. It was something you did
Was
where
it
you
your
touched
shoulder?
my shoulders, and it's like it relaxed me or something after that. After the touch, I was more relaxed, and then my stiffness in my shoulders from the stress kind of like turned into, it was more soft and relaxed. That's all I know. Like I said, I don't know much about it, but it's whatever it is powerful, because that day it put me in a whole different mind state. And I just remember that because it was so amazing. Like I was in such a funk, and it was stress, and it was like she just touched my shoulders before the show, and it allowed me to be able to kind of relax and get more into the show and do what
I
we
see
had
it
to do
as
that day.
just me assisting you with energy to recalibrate yourself, and that's what you
Right.
did. So you were
When
healing
I was attuned, I was very concerned because I thought if I talk to someone and she says, my stomach hurts, and I apply Reiki energy to the stomach area, what if it's not the stomach? And he said, don't worry, this is an intelligent energy that
Yes.
will go where needed.
Yes.
So we are just clear channels bringing down that Reiki sun energy through our bodies, and it goes where it needs to go. Then I was so calm after that source or energy knows what to do, what's needed.
exactly.
Interesting.
That's interesting right there, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, it's like water. Water knows just where to go as it flows. Pour water down down the street or something, and it goes where it needs to go.
Absolutely.
So, energy like water.
So can you talk about the so you said you put your hand out and towards the people.
Well, you can put hands on, or other people will just work with your auric energy. So it's just personal preference. Some people like the hands on. When I get Reiki, I prefer hands on because it is that connection, and sometimes when I'm getting Reiki and when I'm doing Reiki, people will tell me that, I will be touching their shoulders and they'll say, "Well, I thought you were down at my feet," things like that. So it's because it puts you in a really relaxed state, and it's very meditative. Mm-hmm. So I think you get a little meditation whether you like it or not.
Is it possible once we come back from break, you could lead us in a small demo? Can you do
Sure,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to play on radio.
Static energy by the radio.
Start to the left of you over there. Start to the right.
So, okay. So, yeah, we will not take a break right this second.
Okay.
But, so, yeah, let's go on and go through.
Okay, well, as I said before, you don't have to really use any props or anything, but I do love crystals, and I know that they have energy, and the colors correlate with the different the chakras, and I have amethyst here, which is the crown chakra, and I love black tourmaline. Never needs to be cleaned. This is a grounder, and it's a protector, and it absorbs any negativity that's coming your way. I always make sure that I put when I do a Reiki session or a healing session, I'll put rocks underneath the table, and sometimes I'll put rocks right on the body, whatever they prefer. And then I always have to use the rose quartz. This is what I call a gateway, a gateway stone, because everyone loves because this is the love stone.
Heart energy.
Yeah, so if someone's like, "Oh, I'm not into stones and stuff," just give them a rose quartz gateway.
She just bashes upside the head with it.
Okay. How do you know? And I usually do a clearing before we start any energy healing, and I do a clearing with sage. I actually grow this, and I make a mist out of it if you can't burn.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know about sage, but this is a purification herb that is, I think the practice was started in the tribal regions, like in Africa and South America and so forth, Amazon. And you burn this, and it purifies the energy in the room, gets rid of any negative vibes and so forth. So
the amazing thing about it is that it is in all the Native American healing concoctions, and it only comes from Southern California. So all the Indian tribes would come here to trade for it. That's how important it was.
Wow.
It smells really like
earthy.
Yeah.
What's your take on it, Seven? Can you elaborate on it more from what I said?
What you would want to do is smudge with it. Normally what I would do, of course,
Can you talk about what smudging is?
Yeah, smudging is burning it in such a way that it spreads smoke. It's not burning on fire, but it's burning, smoldering. So it creates smoke, and I think there are spirits or energies that they don't like that, It's sort of like it's a positive force and sends negative away. So if you have a room that doesn't feel right, if you have a workspace, even if you had individuals that didn't feel right, if you bring that sage into it, and I think it works symbolically as well. You wouldn't need to actually be smoldering it at work, but if you just
how do you light it without smoldering?
Well, if you dry it and bundle it,
I was just curious.
Yeah.
You dry it and bundle it, and then you light it, and it'll light. And sometimes
if you look to the north, the whole city is being smudged at this time by some wildfires that have been doused.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was
smoldering.
asking. Like, how do you keep it from flaming like the fires? And
it just smokes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about this, so I'm asking
that's what
specific
this is for.
questions.
Other people don't either, so it's about learning. That's what the show is for.
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't going to burn some today, but get a little smoke in here real quick.
Nobody's negative. So if it's really like a negative person, can you just throw this at him? Light it on fire and then throw it at him? And then
I've been at some
peace and love.
Don't smolder it when you throw it. You have to
little torch.
We think in our Western minds that way. I'm going to drive it out, but I don't think it's about driving out negative spirits. I think it's about inviting positive source energy in, and they don't jive with that. They don't like that, and sort of they go on their way. We're not trying to harm any spirits, good or bad, or even to judge them, but just to bring that positive energy in.
Exactly.
And the smoke is, I come more from the Native American tradition, where the smoke is to symbolize it going up into the ethers. So take that energy and let it. So that's why smoke is good. All the elements. That's why I wanted to represent most of the elements here. We've got earth, stone, fire, and then also I make a spray or mist out of the Salvia apiana, which is the sacred white sage.
Oh.
And then I put this one infused with black tourmaline and quartz crystal.
Wow.
So then I'll spray this. It
Have a
depends.
little squirt?
Yeah, you can. There you go.
Can I say this while you guys are squirting? To our listeners out there, don't take regular branches and go set them on fire. We're not saying that. No, I have to say that because some people be like, oh, they said I can take these branches.
Because you have family
right,
members that
they take you at face value. Yes. All they see is a branch and they go get something similar. No, please don't be out there setting our next wildfire. Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah,
well, that's why in the Native tradition they do use a shell normally, so it catches all the soot, and they'll use feathers. I use different feathers for different reasons.
That's pretty.
This one's an owl feather for wisdom,
nice.
And so this is a macaw feather, which is South American, very colorful.
Those are beautiful.
Very loud. So I think it's. So it depends what you're coming for.
So you just lay this on. What do you do with the feather?
With the feather, this is how I smudge somebody. The smoke will be smoking, and then I'll cleanse you this way.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it's very ceremonial, and I think, as I said before, you don't need any of this, but I kind of dig it.
Me too.
And as we have stated at the beginning of the show, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thanks.
Is it about time for a break yet? Or okay, so we got about 5 more minutes before we break. Also, we want to get into you, Seven, and your shamanic healing, but we have about 5 more minutes, and I would like to get more in depth. But can you just, what about doing a poem?
A poem, all right.
Can you do one of your poems?
Well, I could do an Irish one or a Sanskrit one, as you like.
I want to hear the Irish one, honestly.
Yeah. I've got an Irish one, but I don't know what kind of audience we have. It's a little naughty. I don't know if that's...
My mother said to me, apropos of nothing, that I was part Irish, and I was very surprised.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, if I'm part Irish, I'd better write some Irish poetry, really feel that. And what I had found out was that as a child, I was very interested in magic, but there was nowhere in Los Angeles I could find out anything about magic, except the library and only in the reference section. So I remember reading, if you're going to practice magic, it is essential you be able to enter trance at will. And there are 3 ways to do this: drums, drugs, or attempting to read Finnegan's Wake. And I thought to myself, who is Finnegan and just what is a wake? So as she spoke and went through our genealogy, I wrote this poem.
Okay.
Siddhartha saw samsara end, revolving round, spin no more instead, but we pose to our old friend, come Finnegan, become again. What is awake? To raise the dead, then shimmy toss my own 2 cents, shake the spirit and rouse the breath. Come Finnegan, become again. Shirley Shannon and Shea Hem, like fiendish daughters of the fen, to pull thee from thy absorption then, pale in search of spirits in a pen, corked and screwed and waxed wick end, bitter as the grape gifts or grain. I say, I sing, I say again, come Finnegan, become again. Right the sight that seasoned stem, a mighty smite that smote the hand, overwrought the ringing strand, come Finnegan, become again. Murgatroyd's rock at sea and ink presses on lads whom it hurts to think, liberates the tongue as good as drink, come Finnegan, become Finnegan again. Now Finny was a faithful fen, Phineas with half a head, who blew the top to smith or rent. Come Finnegan, become again, wan wolves who wander, for crimson drink, retch and writhe by bane beside a splint. Hail men who haggle at haddock hint, then writhe and retch to get a stint. A Shropshire lad, a filly wink, bard of Avon, cauldron ingredient, a skinny Finny to feed the fink. Come Finnegan, become Finnegan again. Liam, Rhea, Ryan, and Rip around the cadaver sway and sit. Pat, Maria, Michael, and Mick slosh the carcass in the right Catholic rinse. Shillelagh, shake, shellac, shenanigans, sheet and shout, and shoot sharp shingles to shush 'em, and sheath and share, bay, sheep and springs. Vin, fen, friend us again. Now why you shushing the bartle and dawdle? To keep you from floating through that tunnel. Pretty friendship tis to rhyme your friends to life after the time. Why if tis dying, you would be. There are dirgier pipes than poetry. Say for what was breath meditation meant, or why was Bodh built under a tent? Oh, many a peer of India brews sleeper somas than the muse, and Malta's more than Maracan to sisyphise its way for man. Neplis ultra, naiad and nymph, dryad, damsel of dark forest minx. Meadow maiden of mirth and myth, Fin Fen, friend us again, the wee people, the fairy fae, all hint of tube and rose and blue like in. The red six-fingered are Nephilim, come Fen, become Fin again. The oracle spoke, but Sumerian, like the Gilgan Manx on the Isle of Man. Divry Isle uber mensch da men, cried Mary, their little lamb. Gales, accursed Celts and Scots, gather round the seaside knell, why not? Aconites, a purple-hooded hemlock. Fin Fen, friend us again. Giller Gilly, he's a Gilligan. This weird old Willie won't will again. He's a handful, I tell you, it's truly him. Fin Fen, friend us again. Finny and the feather tribes, no men. Militia, the lower sky, Wiccan. Pagan, till his mum, she cried, oh, Fen! Descend, Finnegan, descend. With the main to wick the dew or switch, the messenger came through in Gaelic. Thy ivory isle uber dames damed dam. Fin Fen, friend us again. Flanagan, Hannigan, Flanders and Haw, Millicent, Gilligan, Moira and Ma. The crow ascends when it empties its craw. Descend, Finnegan, descend. Hennessy, Tennessee, Tiger and Todd are sighting grew to a vision of the god. The winged agree, the otter descend, Finnegan, descend. Heresy, terracy, tinkle and troll. Leave us looking petty and small. Emerald Isle, for one and for all. Descend, Finnegan, descend. Lee, ree, rye, ring. Round the corpse sway, sing. Pat, Mare, Mike, Min. Push the Anglican from the swing. And come, Finnegan, become again.
Whoa.
That is.
Sound like he was doing like a native language rap or something. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah.
That was deep.
If it induces trance, it's
And he started to develop a bit of an Irish accent halfway through. I was mighty impressed with that.
I know.
I think I would have a hard time memorizing that.
I was trying to see where you took a breath at. I couldn't see where you took a breath. It was no breath. It was just.
It was straight out.
With the help of the Fae, we breathe other airs.
I by the saints.
Obviously. Okay, all right, you guys. So we have to take a break. We've got a wonderful song, Egyptian hip hop. You guys,
All right.
yeah, a fusion of Egyptian music and hip hop.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So, welcome back to the Let's Be Whole show. Today's topic is energy healing. We have intuitive and medium and self-empowerment guru.
Oh,
Guru.
jeez, no, stop. Howdy.
Bobby. So, Bobby, it's
Haribo.
Marchesso, right?
Self-empowerment guru.
Okay, so
Oh, he has the cell
Marqueso.
phone
the
up.
cheese.
Marchesso.
Yeah.
Bobby Marchesso.
That's right.
Bobby, can you tell us about your background? I know you're a fellow actor.
I am.
And a TV host. I'm an actress too. I'm an artist.
Nice.
You know, so
Yeah.
tell us.
That's what I
about
do
you.
mostly nowadays. It's acting and spokesperson and host type of
Apparently.
stuff. You know what I mean? Like, hey, buy this, and here's why you should. This is awesome, even if it's not. No, it really is. And so I do more of that nowadays.
Okay.
So I became with some of these titles like intuitive and medium and stuff like that. I've really tried to. That's me. That's Monica. No, I've moved just beyond. Like, I don't have any titles. I'm not a self-empowerment coach. I'm not a medium. You know what I mean? Like, I
Anymore.
do those things, but I just don't like all the titles and stuff. And I got out of trying to make this a business. When I was in it, it was a business. I had cards, and of course, you're advertising, you're putting on Facebook, and you're doing the feeds, and you're soliciting appointments. And I do a lot of public galleries as well. In fact, I'm getting ready to travel back to South Dakota, and I'll have a gallery. There hopefully will be usually like 100, 150 people, and we do. If you need something to compare it to, it would be like a John Edward or a Teresa Caputo, the big dogs in the game that are playing that. So, and it's just come down to what do the people want to talk about? They have questions about everything. Sometimes it's loved ones who have crossed over, and for me, that used to be the ultimate healing. Getting in touch with somebody who's crossed over so that you can heal. I like John Edward, if you remember who he is. He's just not seen a lot nowadays, it seems. But his premise was connecting people with their loved ones one last time, to heal and stuff. I really loved that because I was in a situation with my dad where we didn't get to heal, and the time, after 4 years of not seeing him, I learned he had died, and that was it. But there was such an instant peace that came over me, knowing that he had crossed over and that he knew now everything. You know what I mean? And that was before I even got into this stuff. And so it really appealed to me to be able to connect others with their loved ones, because there's so much, especially in suicides, where people are left with questions and why and guilt, and I mean, it's so horrible. And so when I was starting out, yes, I was a psychic medium, and I was putting that out there, but I was never comfortable with the labels because it also gets a really bad connotation, I think, anymore. You tell people, you get along with them, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a psychic," and they're like,
Even for John Edwards.
right. And so I've really stopped doing that. It's a matter of now. It's kind of like what Monica touched on when we were talking about the Reiki. It's a matter of touching on you're there in the energy. People come to you. We need help. We need answers, or you need to be shown a way to get those answers. I always found that was a better way. There's a parable that says if you can give a man a fish and he's good and he's satisfied, but if you teach him how to fish, right, then he's satisfied for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so many people just want you to feed them the fish. They're lazy. And I don't let people get lazy. And so when you come to a gallery or an event, I'm not just their psychic boy dancing around and tuning into your loved ones. Like, I do that, but at the same time, I will guide you to a way. Instead of me just telling you that your father or your mother is here, I will put you in a place or help guide you to a place to where you can feel your mom and dad there. Or to do it without them. You don't need me for this, So it's more of that. And again, with whatever types of questions that people have about their lifetimes and how to you had mentioned depression earlier. There is nothing that I want to say teach about, but when you're tuned into source, it all just kind of comes out. But it's my own life is like a card catalog in a way. So I don't talk about anything that I've not had personal experience of. Even though I'm tuned into source and I will talk about suicides and things like that, it's just from my personal experience what I've seen on the other side. Nobody's going to know until we die. So I'm very opinionated about other people who do this because I can feel where they're doing it from. If you're not doing it from a place of love or source and you're doing it because, look at me, I can tune in, I mean, here's what I can do, that's not it.
That's right.
And the less, like Monica again was saying, that she shows up and the source comes through her with whatever healing, the less there is of a you involved in healing, the more there is just healing. And so a lot of people who do this aren't interested in that. There's too much of an ego involved of look what I'm doing and I can do this. And I was there too. It's so empowering to go, oh my God, I do this. And it's very ego driven. But if you're learning and expanding like you should be, you realize, and as I said, I thought this was the ultimate healing. It's not. This was a facet.
So you're basically saying that you make them come in touch with what their real reality is.
We get so clogged over. We live our entire lives with perceptions and things of opinions, and we try to blow the smoke away from that and say, here's what really is going on. Here's
Wasn't
why.
the ancient shamanic way always to bring spirit through so people connect with it? It's not reporting back what you saw.
No,
It's
you hold a
directly
place,
bringing
don't you? You have to hold a place and people come into that. And that's why you go to these seminars and everybody feels so great, but they're scared when they leave because I can't do this out there. Well, you can. There's no difference. But that's what it is that you have to hold a sacred space, in a sense, for people to get in touch with. And that's what I...
And I think what's important to mention for anybody that doubts, people have psychic abilities. As you know, there's been prophets, people that can prophecy and foresee the future. Every time, the way that I look at it, I want to develop that skill more because every time I know for a fact I may think about a person I haven't talked to in a long time, and boom, they'll just call me out of the blue, or we'll connect on Facebook or something. It's just too synchronic for it to just be random, because that happened more than once. That happens to me numerous times. So that, to me, I look are signs that I am intuitive, but I need to develop it more. And I think
anybody can do it. I mean, Amazon, $10.95. There's a book.
Well, we're all tuned in all the time.
That's
are
right.
we asleep to it, or are we awake to it?
Right.
Are we willing
very well
to awaken
said.
to it?
Very
That's the thing. There's a certain group of, sorry to interrupt, there's a group of people, and again, a lot of people, when they say it, it just comes from ego. Oh, everyone has this ability, but I'm the one who is obviously doing it. Everybody has this ability. Not everybody will use it. Not everybody wants to use it. There's still, unfortunately, a big percentage that will call 5 different psychics a week until they hear what they want to hear. You know what I mean? And so that's just the reality of it. Anybody can do it, but will you? That's the question. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say that I'm Christian, you guys, and I'm just, I guess, speaking up for the Christian,
Get out.
Audience. Right? Like, this is totally a conflict of where my religion stands, but I do know that there is a higher power, there is a God.
Yes.
And I believe, this is only my belief, I have to say that, because this is my opinion only. I've been dealt with in prophetic dreams. Like, I believe God has shown me things through prophetic dreams, like the Oklahoma bombing. One night I had a very detailed dream about a building blowing up with children in it. It was really crazy. And I think it was 1 or 2 days later the incident happened. And then I've also had flashes of things go past me, of dramatic events in history, while I'm walking. Visual, flashes.
Yeah.
And it happens too. Like, one time I was walking down the street and a visual flash of a Greyhound bus turned and spun. It was like an accident or something like that. I came back into the house, saw it on the news.
Wow.
At that very second. So I believe that it's a very powerful tool. For me, I feel like God uses me prophetically in a lot of ways. It's scary sometimes because I want to make sure that I am doing my part to, I guess, pray about these situations that I see in my dreams and make sure that I'm not,
See, there's so many different.
It's so many, yeah.
But, and we're all doing the same thing. I think that when you come
exactly.
to understand this energy, it gives you more room to allow others to do and call it whatever they will. So
Right.
you don't have to go, it's not God.
Right.
Because it's this.
Yeah.
There's no fight there. It's all the same energy. You attach it to God, and you're not the only one. You're right. I've had a lot of
Right.
people who so desperately want to be in touch with their mom or their dad or their brother, sister, family members, but they're Christian. And there's this huge
Pressure.
like,
or
oh my
something.
God,
Yeah.
I can't, I'm not supposed to
I'm
be
not
doing this.
supposed to, yeah.
But they have to because they know they've got to heal. And so
And it's a
Again, it's-
special. It's. I feel like it's a special gift that has been given to you. No, we don't know what to do with it. I believe that you have to develop a close bond and relationship with whoever your God is and speak to Him.
Well,
See,
I
but
think
you
that
don't.
it's one. Yeah, I think it's one source, one
Yeah.
God, and people, depending on where you're born, the time you're born, and stuff, you call the source this energy what you want. But the stigma of Christianity that you, like you said, we shy away from. Prophetic visions from
Yeah.
yoga. We're taught, meditation and so forth is wrong
With Christians, I'm not.
historically.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah.
Get me clear on
yeah,
this.
there's a lot of restrictions. I mean, even as far as like they don't believe in like seeing a
Psychics,
psychic.
yeah, it's
They-
working for the devil.
In Christianity, I do know that just from what I've been taught in Christianity is that it's supposed to be wrong, and
Well,
you're
what
not
I'm
supposed to
fascinated
participate in
by
that.
Is how many of the religions all say the same thing. They
Yeah.
use different language and people make different assumptions. But what is the number one sin in Christianity? Pride.
Yes.
In another tradition, we would call it ego. Ego gets in the way.
That's right.
If we want to be a clear channel for prophecy, we would get the ego out of the way, right? Sin doesn't mean a bad thing. Sin means missing the mark, right? So when you understand it, I'm missing the mark when I have my ego in place in such a way that I can't channel the energy, the prophecy, the vision God is giving me, or that source is giving me, or that the universe. I mean, if you think of God as all of us in participation in relationship with one another, how's that any different? But the language, we hang our connotations and our assumptions about it, and it's like, well, you can't say that, you can't do that, I'm not going to stay.
Right, right.
It's just this ridiculous thing
Like
where we're all here.
this is just a small example. They used to tell us when we were coming up as kids in the Christian world that we couldn't wear pants, and I didn't see how that kept you from being saved or any closer to salvation. Like, I'm still living. I would wear pants outside of the church. I wouldn't go do it in the church.
And I still love God
You know
just
what I'm
as
saying?
much.
I love God
in
just
a
the
dress or in
same.
pants.
Yeah.
Cover
So
your head or
some of it is kind of like
Yeah, and you have
know.
to take into consideration, like if you look at the book of Daniel, Daniel, he prophesied and so on. I mean, there's so many characters in the Bible
Yeah.
that show these gifts. It's not just those few people that their names were mentioned in the Bible. Like, surely with millions and millions of human beings in this earth, other people have had visions or foresight or insight, intuition and so forth. So
Well, that
And it's
people-
it's not, I just have to say, it's not a gift. It's not. That denotes that somebody came down and blessed me with this.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of people who also want to do this or feel that they're called to do something like this feel that they're not special enough, because you have to be special in order to do this. I have been through the worst, most negative, most depressing times in my entire life. I've had doctor's diagnoses that I carry with me, in a sense. In other words, those were labels were put on me. I don't hang on to it and say I'm this, but meaning that if you want to get in touch with the closest relationship I've had to develop in order to do this was with myself. And then what happens is the closer you are to develop the relationship with yourself, that is in tune
That's right.
with source, God, energy, angels, however, whoever you want to put it on. That's what gets you. It's all here,
Yeah.
which opens that up. So there's not a secret to being psychic or anything like that. Special and you know, I joke 1095 at Amazon, but there's nothing secret to that. It's coming to being still, forgiving yourself, forgiving others. You know, you're going to have every single day. I tell you, I go through negativity and my other mental stuff every single day.
Well, I like that you make that distinction that it's not a gift. I think of it as an unfolding.
Yeah.
You know, the chakras, the 1,000-petal chakra on top of our head is like a flower, and when you bow before an altar, you're laying a flower there. So what is the potential for each of us to open up, to become more human? If we're created by God, did God create something that couldn't unfold to something greater? No, obviously it would have been that creation. If we're created by some other beings or something, I mean, they want us to actualize ourselves, to really grow and spread. And nobody would say, oh, now this one's special, because no, you know, we're human. Human is human. If I'm able to do it, you're able to do it. Maybe to different degrees. We're not here for the first time on the planet, you know, so people come back and
That was an
work things out.
amazing concept that he just made.
Laid out, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a gift either. I think it's our God. It's our birthright. That's as we are as human beings.
I tend to agree, but then something inside me disagrees too, because I what comes to mind is that biblical scripture about all of us having different you know, one is a hand, one is a foot, one is an arm, and we all come together. The same thing, like, I would love to be able to sing. You know, I wish I could blow like Patti LaBelle, but I do not. I'm not even close, and I don't know with the years of singing lessons if I'll ever get there.
But you could. You have to have the passion to it for it. If you're inspired and passionate enough.
Look, she looked like she looked at him like she was gonna cut him with her with the ears.
Like, what? Me?
With the ears.
Let me rub on my ears.
Come here.
So I won't cut you.
No, I mean, you're obviously inspired and passionate, but you're inspired and passionate with so many other things that are driving you.
Right.
Again, singers, what is that the same thing? And I'm just naming it. Like, is that the same passion and inspiration that Adele has? No. And again, if you took lessons and learned how to do it, and that was your passion, you did it, you could. But that's just not your inspiration.
No.
No, we know what your
I
inspiration
got
is.
what he's saying. Yeah.
Well, growing up
Filmmaking.
listening to
That's
so
right.
many different types of music, I would listen to stuff that was not popular, and I loved it. And I thought, this person was put on to do this kind of music. If you're thinking, I got to be like Patti LaBelle, I got to be like Adele, you know, then you're saying, well, I can't sing.
You limit
geez,
yourself,
Compare
he's
yourself to
saying.
everybody
Yeah.
singing, and you would see that you're already a magnificent
Well,
voice.
you're going outside of
It's about
yourself.
opening the heart, opening
Now, I'm a
the
singer
chakra.
too, and I'm not great. But there is a rest home that I sing at that specializes. No, I'm serious. See, everything's a joke. I joke too much, and now when I'm being serious, they're like, "Oh,
Well, give us a little something.
no." The thing is so there's an old folks home that specializes in Alzheimer's and dementia, and I go up there and I sing Frank Sinatra and stuff, and you can see even the most person who's so much out of it, they're always tapping their foot or they're snapping their fingers or they're kind of mindlessly singing along.
You give them
And it's
joy
so
by
healing.
way of your
So that's
voice.
passion, isn't it? And so I don't have to be Adele. This is my point. This is my energy right here that is going to them, that's coming back to me. It's all in of us sharing that. You know what I mean? So that's a passion and inspiration. And you don't have to be Patti LaBelle.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
She's like, okay, wait till break. She got that smile like, oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
So anyway, that's my take.
So back to shamanic, to energy healing. Let's talk about what shamanic healing is. Shamanism.
Well, you know, in the olden days, the poet was the bringer of stories, the rememberer of stories. So it was sort of the cultural repository. And to be a shaman was to bring back those ancestors, because we are not just alive ourselves, but we are all that history. And if we could bring it forward into the now and all be aware of that. So the poet was the historian and was the musician, usually, you know, with some kind of dulcimer. And was the rememberer of stories and the speaker of stories. So in order to remember it, there are certain mnemonic devices or mantras really means mental instruments. So the ancient rishis, the seers, the Sanskrit, the writers of the Vedas were very much into remembering these stories and recounting those stories to bring them up, usually during ceremony or what we think of as religious activity. But in the past, there was no religion. That was daily life in Egypt. People didn't say, I'm going to go over to the temple and stand by the pyramid and do something. No, that you were passing by there all the time. That was life. So I think of the poet today not being somebody who egotistically says, I want to talk about my pain in high school, this happened, let me write. I think it's about bringing through that common language or that musicality. To me, poetry is music.
Yep.
I began as a musician, and I kind of think of myself as doing the music all with my mouth now in some ways, because it attracts the attention and it makes it memorable. And so what is a shaman doing but bringing healing? They're really only uncovering what's there, right? Our natural state is healthy. Our natural state is vibrational. A chakra is a wheel, not because it is round, but because it is spinning. All our chakras are spinning, one in one direction, the other in a counterclockwise direction. And when they're alive and spinning and open in our hands, we think we have 7 chakras. We have many more than that. A nexus of energy. We're vibrant. We're alive. We're in tune. When a rapper is in flow state, as modern psychologists would say, what is happening, right? That person is alive to the audience. If the audience is feeding the rapper is feeding back, and they think, oh, this guy's great. But does the audience know the audience is great too? If I'm sitting in a little closet room trying to read this, maybe it doesn't flow. But when I got 4 vibrant people looking at me, you're bringing something to that.
You feed off of the energy.
Well, it becomes
Are you familiar with chakras?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So that's what I thought. That's what
I'm looking at him, but I know you can.
What is she doing here?
I know what I heard earlier from 7. That was a flow of some sort, and it just sounded really
Well, it becomes a current. I see
Right,
it becomes
it
a
was
current.
No, but chakras, and you guys please chime in, but chakras, from my understanding, are energy centers that we have in our bodies, because the world, if you don't know, works on energy. Energy, we're all matter and energy, so there's certain energy centers. So this one right here at the top of the head is called the crown chakra, and the colors represent your healing. I mean your energy
vibration.
centers, your vibration. So purple is for the crown chakra. Purple.
purple streaks.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the crown chakra is up here, and that's almost a brilliant, blinding white.
White, that's
the
right.
Agni chakra is here, and that's purple. Or the color of those amethyst stones. That it has that vibration. Color and sound are just frequencies. So it has a frequency, it has a sound, it has a sacred bija mantra or seed mantra associated with it. Here, the most popular one, Om, right? That's the sound that one is making, but here it is yum.
So
Here it is
colors
hum.
have.
Yeah, you have the
Colors,
colors of the
sound.
rainbow. Yeah,
Wow.
red, yellow.
Okay.
Your,
That's why certain
heart.
songs move you as much as they do, because it's just sound, isn't it? When you take away all the words, it really is just sound and
Yeah,
vibration.
the feeling like a Patti LaBelle that you get when you listen to her.
And color, I mean, just like we look all around and we see all these different various colors and stuff, it's the same thing it's invisible, right? But there's like different colors. So
Sure.
the heart is, what color is that?
Green.
Green chakra is the heart. So when you want to send loving, say if you want to send love to people or love to yourself, or if you feel like you have a heart problem, you can envision this heart area as being green and send some healing energy to this green
Well,
center.
a perfect example is when you went to the park the other day. You were in nature. What do you see when you're in nature? What color are
Green,
trees?
yeah,
What color is the
green.
grass? Colors the sky. So if you're feeling low, go to a golf course. You see a lot of green.
Well, I find it fascinating that in the Catholic tradition, they really focus on the Immaculate Heart of Jesus in this area.
Right.
But in the traditional Christianity from Ethiopia, Israel, and those things, they do the nimbus, the halo. That person is illuminated. The manuscript is illuminated. Right, so they're talking about color, they're talking about vibration.
Yeah,
but
you know
it's
that white halo
subtle.
around.
Yeah.
Well, you've got one.
Oh, really?
White halo.
Halo.
Well, it's blue.
That's right.
Oh, those are her headphones.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the lamp in back of you. Sorry, my fault. My mistake.
I don't know if you can see me out there in television world.
The Buddha had an aura that extended 6 feet. from his body with rays of these colors,
Wow.
so that we're talking that vibration was aware. People were aware of it. I'm sure if Jesus were here, if another sacred master, if the real shaman were there, you would see some phenomena, and it's not for nothing. It's not even being projected. It just comes out of the body. That's our potential.
Yeah, well, it's the
Speaking
aura.
of color, do you know that me, Nina, and Son have on occasions come here in the same exact color? And didn't even
'Cause you're on the
have
same
a conversation.
vibration,
same
Yeah,
frequency.
like today, look at our colors. Me and Son have on.
We got
this
the right colors.
turquoise.
Awesome. We're going to take another break, but before we do, and then we'll get back with us using energy healing through the power of the spoken word. So we're going to talk about that. But I just want to make a few announcements. You guys, please tune in to the Let's Be Whole show. We have a YouTube page. You can type in Let's Be Whole and subscribe there. We also have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Let's Be Whole. I'd like to thank some people that made this all possible. I want to give a shout out to Miriam Jacobs, also Mustafa Kadra, Stan Peters. Any shout outs you guys want to give out? Family members out there?
Oh yeah, all my family, my
the
mom,
human family.
You guys, prayers for my mom right now. Prayers
Okay.
for healing for her. Yeah.
My daughter Inez Sage.
Hey.
My puppy Abby. I love you. Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you.
So we're going to come back and talk more about energy healing, but now for a quick break.
Show.
Well, of course it does.
Wow, that was very, very relaxing. Welcome back to the Let's Be Whole show. Our topic today is energy healing. My name is Cleopatra J, aka Nina Womack, and we have
Queen G.
Son, say Unity Now.
with guests
Bob.
$7.
and $7. Great, great, great. So yeah, what is this here?
This is a crystal bowl that it was gifted to me by two dear friends, Janet Waldron and Katie McDonald, because I've always talk about vibration and how everything is vibration, color is vibration, the way we talk, our mouth, what comes out of our mouth is a vibration. So watch what we say. But so they gifted this bowl to me, but it is the F. The F on the scale, which resonates to the heart chakra. So this would be a healing vibration for the heart.
So when she hits that, you focus on that green, the picture of the
heart,
green in
okay.
your heart.
Yeah. And do you want me to give a little
yeah,
gong?
let's give a demonstration.
Okay.
Woohoo.
And poetess, let me know if the sound level's getting a little crazy in there.
She needs room. I always love that because it changes you instantly. Can you feel instantly how it just focuses?
I think the body naturally attunes to
That's
which is in the environment.
Definitely.
See, that's what I've found, again, with some of the things. One of the things I've been diagnosed with is Tourette's and ADHD. And it's really, your brain is just out of frequency in some senses. This, when you do that, your brain also automatically, your whole body and your brain physically go to this type of tone, to which is a healing tone. And it's been known to really calm down severe ADHD, some of the autistic children, things like that. It's just brought them into sync. Everything's just brought back into sync, and they have less symptoms too. So it's
Yeah, and I
really nice.
think because we're so conditioned to get out of sync, with all our gadgets, we've got that vibration coming at us, televisions, all the electronics, and so I think we need to find a way back to our center.
I agree. I agree. So, can you talk about? We want to get more into your intuitive ability.
Oh, you
like-
do you?
You didn't know that?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Should have seen his face over here.
Yeah. Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Can you do a reading?
Well, yeah.
Can we just put
I
you on the
guess.
spot? Like
I don't. I won't.
I don't want to.
Probably not for you guys.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No.
I mean, what,
Well,
like, what do you?
because I said we do demonstrations.
Oh,
here
yeah.
too. So I'm saying, can you do?
Sometimes
like
I just
maybe-
find doing it live on the air with the host sometimes is not a good idea because
Okay.
you know what I mean. Like
Okay.
it depends on how much you want to open up to everybody.
Okay,
how
then
much
do
is
7.
out there? I know. 7 we don't even want to get into.
Sounds
See,
like
he may
we're
not-
all a little too complicated here to.
He may
tap
not want
into.
everybody to know that he was a pole dancer in his previous lifetime. He doesn't want people knowing that. Stop.
Funny.
No, so I mean, you don't have callers in. You don't have people who call in, or no?
Do we have any callers? Any callers?
Yeah, no.
323
I'm just a guy who's-
293
3375.
3375.
If somebody wants to call in, I'd be more than happy.
You guys want to call in? Somebody call in 323-293-3375.
Get a read.
So Bobby can
and
give you a reading.
I would be more than happy to if either one of you want to call me too after the show.
Oh, okay.
Or you know what I mean, like in
Sure.
Can
with
people
you.
reach you?
Yeah.
Through you. I mean, I have I was just going to give you my cell phone number, but you can't. I'm on Facebook. How about that?
Okay.
People can reach me on Facebook. Like I say, I just don't advertise all this. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm on Facebook, Bobby Marchesso. My last name is Marchesso, and I'm based out of Los Angeles, Hollywood, Pasadena. area. So that's who I am if you find me there on Facebook. And I guess you can get a hold of me through there if you need some help. But like I say, otherwise, if I'm planning trips or something like that, it's when I do this the most. Or I teach a class that Monica comes to and is a part of.
What's the name of the class? What is it?
It's, I don't know. We haven't named it. See, you're asking all this stuff. It's not again. So these were about it started off with about 5 women who would come in, and we were all just teaching about law of attraction and how to release and how to let go and how to move forward. Well, they never wanted to leave, and so it's been almost 2 years now, and we meet when we can every month or so. I mean, new people are sometimes welcome to come in, but if there was a need for a separate class for that, then of course we'd put one together and.
Well, yeah, if there's enough interest,
if there's enough interest and people get a hold of you here on the show, maybe we could put a little.
Well, what are you talking about? What's the subject?
What we're talking about right now.
It's just just what we're talking about now, and then again, people who want different answers to whatever. Mm-hmm. If you want to know more about how to empower yourself, like some people just get to such a point where I'm depressed every day, and now I'm just tired of it now. So what do I need to do to get out, right? So a lot of this is kind of like an AA meeting, where I've discovered that instead of me walking in and enabling people and saying, yeah, here's the psychic answers, and I'm tuning into source, and here's what it is for you. That's what I was talking about. There has to be a participation. Angels love it when you participate. They don't come down and grab you out of situations. They come down and stand with you and hold your hand through situations. And so when we get together, you have to work. It's, again, AA, when you're standing up and you have to say, here's my name, here's the problem I have, how do I move forward? That's where we can work together. If you're lazy about it and say, I just want you to give me answers. Is my boyfriend going to call me next week? One guy asked me, he's going on vacation. Is it a good idea? Is he going to be happy? Is he going to be safe? I don't answer questions like that anymore. I used to when I started out because you're tuned in, but I get so tired of those questions. I don't know. Go now. This is a question for the 1-800-Psychics. Go. They'll tell you whatever you want to know. Charge you however much money. Don't ask me crap like that.
Yeah.
If you want to work, let's work. But don't ask me shit if your boyfriend's going to call you next week. Stop that.
In my pole vaulting past, which involved dancing,
I knew it.
I wondered if
Oh my
I
God,
wasn't
I'm
reaching
amazing.
for the stars. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
would that be an appropriate question to ask a psychic?
Ask me again. Ask it again.
In my pole vaulting past, which
Yeah.
involved dancing,
Yeah.
was I reaching for the stars?
It's what you can break that
so
down.
interesting.
It's very poetic, and you could look at it not necessarily reaching for the stars, but you're always rising above. You're always getting past situations. You were meant for something more, and so you were getting above some of the negativity that lied below, and so you were always doing that. But eventually, and this is the part that was always difficult for you, is the fact that you would get up there, but then you always came back down into this human form. It's like, damn it. Have you ever had one of those really great dreams or where you're so relaxed and all of a sudden you just come back in your body and you're so heavy and you're so groggy and out of it? Same type of thing. So pole vaulting, you'd always go up, and that's the part that you love the most. But coming back down, and then all of a sudden you have to walk this earth again, man, I hate that. You know what I mean? And so that was the difficulty for you that you needed to get past. I know what goes up must come down, so now I have to learn how to live with and deal with being down. Being back down. I can go up anytime, but being
As a
back
child,
down.
I was very frustrated by the fact that I vividly flew in my dreams and couldn't in real life. But I was sure that I could, so I'd run in the backyard and try to launch off. And I'm like, what am I not getting?
As his parents are freaking out.
I used to do that. I used to jump out of the jungle gym.
down from the roof, honey. Okay.
Douglas
What do you-
Adams says that there is a way to fly. All you have to do is throw yourself at the earth and miss.
Throw yourself at that.
So easy.
Hey, quick question, Bobby. With people that want to get in contact with their loved ones, is it safe to say that we all have lost loved ones or ancestors that are looking over us and following?
It is safe to say that, and that's the thing. It's just not real popular to go into a bunch of group of people and say your loved ones are all with you. There really aren't any problems. Everybody's okay. Take care. Because they're like, oh well, there's $150 I'll never see again. Great. So our loved ones are always around. When people ask me, do they miss me? And I always have to be I'm very honest too. I'm a very honest. Because like you were saying, I'm reaching for the stars. And it's like, that's very romantic, but that's not it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to feed into this romance. You can carry that with you after you leave here. But here's the way I look at it. And so when I talk about loved ones being around you, no, they don't miss you. Because they're here.
Tourette's is like
They hear us, you know what I mean? And they're right here and see us and things like that. We only miss them because it's out of sight, out of mind. That's why if you can also teach somebody, here's what it feels like when your loved one touches you, right there in the middle, you know, or your shoulder stuff, or they're showing me, have you ever felt that on the back of your head? That's them. And, you know, different what it feels like when they're hugging you. And
Goosebumps. And,
so you teach people that, and they're like, oh, I felt that, but I didn't know that was them. We don't know it's them until somebody says. Do you see what I mean? So then they can correlate. Next time they feel something, they can start to trust. There's that long path of being able to, am I making this up? Or, you know what I mean? And so, but that starts them down the path of being able to trust that when I feel this, that's them. Yeah.
Exactly. I have come to believe that we are visited by our deceased. My mother passed away last year in January, and one of the favorite insects or anything that my mother was crazy about since I was born was butterflies. She had this fascination for butterflies. She had butterfly jewelry, clothes, shirts, everything. So I haven't noticed any butterflies. I haven't seen butterflies in such a long time out here in Los Angeles. And when my mother passed away in January, the 17th, like literally a week later, as soon as I walked out of my house, this butterfly flew right to me and started fluttering.
And here's how you know. You trust me. You trust Monica. Bringing me on the show. I must have something, right? Some ability, some capability of doing this type of thing. But if I said to you, that's really sweet, again, the romance of it, but that's not it. And you're nodding and you're like, okay. And you may think about that. But later you're going to go home or you're going to be talking and you go, you know what? I know he said that, but I still feel that was it. That is it. You don't need Psychic Boy telling you. You know that's your mom. And just to go back to backing that up, of course that was her. I can, tuning into that, that's exactly, and because she was so limited in her mobility when she was here. A butterfly is also a perfect representation for what she gets to do now and just fly and be free, right? It could have been anything. Could have been an insect crawling on the ground. And your mom is sassy enough where she's like, no crawling. I am flying.
Caterpillar on earth, butterfly in heaven.
Transformation. That's what
Wow.
butterflies represent, transformation.
Wow.
There's some heavy stuff today.
Definitely, yeah.
Makes you wish you drank, huh?
Man,
I know.
let me have some of this.
That's actually the secret to my power. This is not water.
Now, Seven, let's talk about using the power of spoken word to
Well,
heal.
I have a piece since you asked about that. What is
Okay.
the shaman? What is the poet? And
Okay,
I think this
great.
piece answers it.
Okay.
It's called The Naias Says. The role of a writer is not to say what we can all say, but what we are unable to say. Homie, Homer, hold me? You could never be a writer, let alone a poet. What do you know? I mean, what Iliad, what Odyssey? You with the dunce cap hid in your knapsack, you've got to be able to recite the histories, use poesy and prosody, exquisite soliloquies of the great heroes, expose of oracles. Pithy, like Pythia on python vapors, concentrating in caverns until the future resolves in stark relief. Troubadours travel, give the news, Delphi, Athens, Troy, every Hellenized place. That's where minstrels go, that's where they live. Your constitution can't travel, can't sing, can't reveal, and you never will. You can never be a writer. Nor can you strum a sitar, tease a dulcimer, a lute, grab a guitar like the feminine form with its twisted roots, strung hairs, fine neck, serpentine curves, gentle opening, and enormous void. Listeners have it easy. The poets know. Memorizers, reciters, who recount the tragic tales, a dense catalog of endless imperial wars. Poets must find a muse to amuse. The fates are such that the Morai may guide you, but you alone must take the leap, and though all the words excite you, alone a poet must plumb the deep, Mediterranean, Aegean, rough Adriatic Sea, dire straits to exotic isles. The poet must make them cry and care, yet shrug off tragedy. The poet must stab and stare and cut incisively. The poet must turn memories into song and keep alive the candle so civilization will live on. It's the plight of Persephone and Hades, of Achilles under Ares, of Hestia and ever-patient Penelope. tales told by Sophocles and Euripides, all marked mythology. What do you know about that? You could never be a writer.
Wow. Wow. Awesome.
People say to me, oh, you're a poet at a workshop. I want to write like you. And I'm like, why don't you write like you? Because I can't do that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a matter if somebody told me you could never be a writer. It would be as if I said to someone, Patti LaBelle maybe, you could never be a singer. I mean, until that but until that potential is expressed, how can someone say? And fashions come and go, right? I could not have been a painter in the pre-Raphaelite times, but in the modernist times, suddenly I'm a great painter.
Jackson
right?
Pollock.
Yeah, you're an amazing wordsmith.
Yes.
I'd like to share a piece with you guys, if I may. I have used journal writing and writing poetry as part of my healing process. I've got tons and tons of notebooks over the years, mostly with a lot of junk. I wrote a lot of garbage, inner garbage out, got it out. And then as I continued to heal on my journey, then I saw my writings become more and more beautiful and perfume.
They say every person has one great poem in them and 10,000 junky ones. So you got to go through
Exactly.
that,
You got to get all that stuff out. So anyway, in our solitude, or at least from my experience in my solitude, that is where my muse will take over and I'm inspired to write. Mostly we're busy with our lives and I'm doing so much, producing this, or I'm acting in this project, or I'm an event coordinator too. So I'm just always busy, and I don't take time for myself really to just rejuvenate and get in contact with my inner muse. So I finally went to the park the other day and sat underneath a tree in quiet, and this is what came out of it.
Oasis.
This is what came out. Okay. So yeah, this has to do with my past pain and where I'm at now. It's called Who Can Break Me? Who can break me? Who can break me when I've been broken into pieces like Humpty Dumpty, shattered and splintered into fragile fragments of ego, formulated, stimulated, and emulated by generations of ancestors programmed in my DNA? Also broken from the devastation of forced migration into this American nation, this forced castration and molestation. So who can break me? Who can break me when I've ripped my own self to shreds, fingers bloodied from paper-cut wounds, my mind flipping on the same old tunes, haunting voices in chorus of what I can't do, a life of doom. Oh no, hide. The camera is zoomed in. Side to my every flaw. Images projected, underdeveloped, perceived in my mind's eye as negative exposure, but like the phoenix rising from ashes, the wounds in my wings now have closure. So please tell me, who can break me? Who can break me when I've already regenerated and repaired like a science fiction humanoid robot, like Superwoman, like Batgirl, or a goddess, like the Energizer Bunny that keeps going and going and going, like the olive shoot that keeps growing and growing and growing, limbs stronger, mind wiser, standing taller, and now, like the rock beats the scissors, I come out shining.
Tell it,
Bright,
Sister
bright
Angela.
like a diamond, refined by the fire as I become whole. That's it, you guys. That's what came out.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe you should hang out in the park more often.
I know.
What is it, the words or the energy that you brought to the sounds?
Well,
Everybody just shut up, didn't they?
I would say both.
that was like a trick. I know. That's what I was about to say.
See,
I would say,
words only point, right? But what happened was you just took, and especially in reading that, what you did was you're just sharing that inner energy of brokenness, and then passing that brokenness and the healing that you've gone through, and that's what you're expressing. The words you can listen to, but we were listening to inside of you, right? And that's what makes
It's
it great.
almost like the words jumped off the page and you could visibly feel what you were feeling when you were writing it. That's what I picked up.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about words because that really provokes me. I do Sanskrit things to get to the sound. because I'm usually caught up in English with the meaning of the words, so that when you can combine them, and that was fantastic, that we lose sight of how you're saying it, but the message is coming through loud and clear.
And you could have spoken any language, or you could have just went blah, blah, blah throughout the whole thing, but we still would have heard what you were trying to
The
say.
feeling. It's the
Interesting.
feeling.
Interesting.
Do we have time for one more? The 7 Dars, the one he was talking about.
Sure. Yeah.
It's powerful.
I'm foolish, vulgar, sinister, and foolish. How so? When I read, I declaim the verse. In class with classic poetry, it would aggrieve me no end, as other readers mumbled through, missing the rhyme. When it came to me, I would punch the lines, accent, and emphasize. And my teacher would say, you don't need to do that. We can see the lines. The rhyming is incidental. Are you out of my mind? Sound, of course, is not the whole point, but the half of it, the better half. Sound and sense, rhyme and reason. Sound triggers magic. Even if only we're merely being prosaic, reciting is rhyming pulled from the memory of musicians, wanderers, shamans, seers. Take Vedic rishis, for example. When I write rhyme. Writing rhyme is right. All the better to remember through time. All the better to recite. Rhyming is a lot like hitting a bell. Now, there are 2 ways to hit a bell. One is to hit it. The other is to invite it. Invite it to produce its sound. Invoke its diverse mysteries, alliteration, consonants, assonance, sibilance, onomatopoeia. To use the many magical tools, the literary devices, the mantras or thought instruments. To recite means to rhyme, to punch those lines. Other music happens in between. In the background, the bell is ringing all by itself. By invitation, of course. I tend to pop my peas. Oh, Eliza, will you never learn? What of Pickering? Because allocution is everything, Professor Henry Higgins taught me to enunciate, to pronounce and project the world's greatest language, from which all others, in popular usage, derive. No, not Spanish, second best. No, not Gaelic. Would that it were so. No, not English, pure doggerel, but Sanskrit. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Gyana Murthim Dwandwatitam Gagna Sadrisham Tatwam Asyadi Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimlamachalam Sarvari Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna Rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Sati Sambojangako Kasapa Maya Sama Dakita Bhavita Bahuli Gata Binaya Sambodaya Nibanaya Sambatati Bhavato Saba Mangalam Rakanto Brahma Devata Saba Mara Buddha Nubhavena Sarasoti Bhavantote Soti Hontu Nirantaram Hotu Saba Sumangalam Akasata Chabumata Devanaga Mahirika Punyanta Manamotiba Chiram Rakanto Lokasasanam Akasata Sajbumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyanta Manamotiba Chiram Rakanto Gate Gate Paragate Gate Gate Paragate Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha, and so on. To recite is to produce and invite magic, because what is magic but the casting of spells? And what are spells but magical sounds carrying magical meanings? There is that ancient Indus Valley civilization magic prevalent in India and Tibet called mantram, where the Sanskrit rolls off the tongue, hangs in the air, resonates like a gong. Brahmanandam Parama Sukadam Kevalam Gyana Murtim Dwandwatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tatwamasya Dilaksham, and so on.
Interesting. Wow. Interesting. Now, what did that mean? What were you saying?
Well, one portion of it was the 7 factors of enlightenment being recited. But the initial part was praise to the highest. Brahma is often mistaken as God's name, but God, even in the Bible, has many names. And Brahma just means supreme. So what is the ultimate? What is source? What are we all connected to? Or what is that highest connection we all have? I mean, we could connect at a sporting event, or we could connect at a spiritual event. So when we aspire towards the highest, that is really calling that in, calling that down, grounding it in the reality of our earthly existence. It's one thing to be spiritual and to be floating in the clouds while we dream and then return to this life, but it's really about bringing that back. You don't jump off the boat and swim to touch the anchor. You go bring that anchor to the boat, to anchor yourself to the shore or to another ship, right? If I'm pulling myself to something, whatever my highest ideal is, then this is sort of in praise of that, Hail to Brahma or hymn to Brahma.
Awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Well, this has been such an enlightening show. On that note, I do want to, I want us to play Spoken Word Healing by our shaman, Aliba. And let's thank our guest, Bobby. Oh, Seven, can you tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at sevendar.wordpress.com. I have a book, and these come from my book, Under the Influence of Classic Poetry. And I play all around town. I'll next be actually out of town at the New York Poetry Festival, but I'm also performing in Los Angeles at, there's the Pasadena Library is having an event, so the Catalina branch.
Okay. And
Awesome.
Bobby, any last words?
No, thanks for having me on. I'm going to follow that. No.
And we wanted to go off into Alibaba's spoken word. There we go. Peace out until next time.
Stay
The Lefty
shining.
Holmes Show.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes. This is my spoken healing for all of us. For all of us. Welcome to my spoken healing. My spoken healing is from our ancestors. Long time ago, our ancestors, ancestors and ancestors and ancestors give us the gift. They give us medicine. Everybody's stuck down the road, include inside the heart. Don't be blocked. Go back to inside your heart. Look your history. Look your gift. Your gift is always there. From ancestor and ancestor. All of them come from one. One come from zero. Zero come to be sound and letters. The zero circle. Zero is the circle. The circle is again God. Look yourself inside your heart. Forever what you think you lost, you don't have it. You do have it. We are in life journey and the life. Go back to the ancestor. Inside your heart is ancestor and ancestor and ancestor and ancestor following you round and round and round every way, in any kind of way, just for us. Go back to your heart. Talk to mothers, your mama. Talk to fathers, your daddy. Talk to grandmothers, your grandmother. Talk to grandfathers, your grandfather. They knows everything. Welcome to life journey. Welcome to my spoken healing.